We donate profits from this channel to charity. Please help us help others by giving us a thumbs up or subscribing to our channel. Your support makes a difference.
Hello, y'all. I would like to introduce my friend, Dr. Glenn Paige, the Iron Man, the realest person that's going to speak this week besides these people here. The other people that were the past, they're not here today. But Dr. Glenn Paige, he has done more with his life than, I don't know, a lot of people. He has helped so many people. He comes here and he speaks to us, and he has been an inspiration to all of us. And go ahead.
Well, I didn't beat him one-on-one today. I tried, but I didn't quite make it, so he took it to me. But I gave it a shot. I got to put my other shoes on next time. So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to come every year. Contrary to what Donald says, Coach Hicks, he's been a dear friend. He's been a great asset to this community, and he created this along with his family and Dana to really make this into something special for you. And it's an honor for me to be here every year. And hopefully there's something that I say or something that I did that may inspire you, or that may motivate you or make you realize that you could overcome that obstacle or that hill. But my team of people who also helped me, I think you met Mr. Broyhill here. He's the chairman of the Broyhill Family Foundation. Mr. Hunt Broyhill. Their donations allow you to come to this camp and to run this camp. So people like this are very critical. Mrs. Sheila Triplett Brady is the executive director of the Broyhill Family Foundation, so I appreciate them being here. And the best aspect is my lovely wife, Dr. Brown. So thank you for being here. So I have cards today. Normally I don't use cards, but I want to remind myself, yesterday we had a really great opportunity with Mrs. Mason, who was my next door neighbor growing up. Her story was very unique. You know, the fact that she had a vision for what she wanted to do with her life and that she pursued it even though she had obstacles in her way and challenges. She used the example of the bus ride yesterday. How many of you like that story, right? All right. So today, I want to speak to you a little bit about owning your dash. Anybody ever heard that term, owning your dash? It's not like running a race. So owning your dash, the 2 days that you have no control over are the day you're born and the day you pass on. Everything between that is your dash. You have some control over. So that's what I want to talk to you about. It's kind of like the bus ride we heard about yesterday, but this is about owning your dash and making the world better. No problem. Making the world better for you being here and making your impact on the world. So what does it take to own your dash? It takes effort, and you got to have some expectations for yourself. Okay? You got to put efforts into achieving your goals, but you have to have some expectation of what it takes to do that. Entitlement, where you feel like you're owed something, comes from having expectations but not putting forth the effort. And that's not a good thing, because you need to be self-sufficient and you need to make your own path. So how do we do this? How do we own our dash? Well, the first thing is you got to have an idea of what you want to do, right? And then you got to have goals. And then how do you attain those goals? Well, you take action. Okay, that's the bridge between your ideas and goals and how you get there. Yes, sir?
So you keep practicing together.
Correct. So practice, that's one way to say it. That's what the work is, right? So again, in basketball, the first thing you got to learn is to dribble the ball, right? And then you dribble with both hands. And then you learn to move with the ball. Then you learn to pass the ball. Then you learn to shoot the ball, right? So that's the practice. And that's a great example that you bring up there. So how do we succeed with our goals? It takes, again, effort and attitude. Those are the two things you can control, right? It's what we have control over that's important. So for me, you may look at me, and again, I appreciate hearing all the great things that I've done with my life, but those have been challenges for me that I challenged myself to do. But how many here were a couple years ago when I gave the Be the Victor, Not the Victim speech? Do you remember that one? So I had a lot of challenges in my life. I mean, I've been successful, but it's not on my own. It's because I had other people, coaches in my life, mentors in my life, parents in my life, friends in my life. Those people helped me get over those obstacles and those challenges in my life. When I grew up, if you remember, I talked about this a couple years ago, I had to go to a special school to learn. I got picked up in second grade, I couldn't read. So how do you become a doctor if you can't read, right? So I really struggled with that. So I had to go to a special school where they taught me, they called it auditory integration problems. We now call it dyslexia. I'm a little slow at reading. I don't spell real well. But that doesn't make me stupid, okay? It doesn't mean that I can't achieve goals. It just takes me a little longer to do it. It doesn't make me not intelligent. Our brains process differently, okay? So I had to overcome that, but I had a team, which was last year's lecture, of people who helped me overcome those obstacles. And that's how life's gonna be. Don't ever give up. You got good role models. You got good mentors in this camp and coaches. After you make it out of grade school, you got to make it to high school. And then from high school, the next step, hopefully you get into a good college and you get some scholarships. I had financial challenges because my dad took sick and was disabled because he had health issues. So I had to work my way through undergrad and through med school. But that didn't stop me, right? That was my goal, was to become a doctor. And then when I became a doctor, originally I was going to be a surgeon. And one of my surgical mentors and role models told me, hey, y'all do an anesthesia rotation so you know what's going on with your patient on the other side of the drape. And I loved anesthesia. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, I never would have thought that. So we talked about yesterday, changing the bus route or getting in a different seat or obstacles in the way. I changed my course just like she did yesterday. Totally changed my life. I wouldn't have met my wife. We met during the anesthesia residency training when we were both doctors. So, equal opportunity in life does not mean equal outcome. So, it may be a bunch of different factors, but look, you have an opportunity to make the most of everything that you do. And how do you do that? You really got to focus on your own personal growth. In basketball, it's practicing. It's learning to dribble, learning to pass the ball, learning to do a layup, learning to dunk. I see a dunk in your future. Couple inches, you'll be there. We got to have a plan, right? So a goal without a plan is just a wish, okay? That's just a wish in your life. But there are ways to do that. So you just need to work on the plan and have other people assist you. What do you think the biggest obstacle in most people's life is to attaining their goals? What do you think? What's that? Making a goal. But what would stop you from making your goal? What's the most common thing that you have? What's that? Injuries, that's one. What else? Challenges. And another way of saying challenges is fear, right? We're all scared of stuff. You may be scared because you got to go up against a bigger basketball person in camp, right? But instead of looking at that as a fear, oh, I don't want to play him because I may lose. So what if you lose? You may learn something from that. You may grow from that. What were you going to say? Your family. That can be a positive thing, and that can be a challenge to you too, right? So it's really important that we overcome our fears. But we need to learn from our failures. And my dad always used to say, better to learn from the mistakes of others. So again, if somebody makes a mistake, trust me, I got in a lot of issues with my behavior in elementary school, and in middle school and high school. I mean, I was suspended from school as a kid in elementary school because of my behavior. Better to learn from somebody else being suspended than you being suspended, because my parents made me pay for that. So, you know, it's important. Look, none of us are perfect, but you can overcome those failures and those obstacles and, like you said, those challenges. So what else does it take? Well, we talked about the work it takes, but it takes discipline. Who knows what discipline means? Well, you're gonna answer all my questions today. What do you got?
It's like, discipline is like, you like work hard, you like, let's say you have trouble, and a discipline is like, you get trouble, and I have to do something for you. A punishment?
Well, discipline can be punishment. You're right, but that's a different kind of discipline. But you are correct. Yes, sir.
Discipline is the ability to force yourself to do something even if you may not want to do.
Say that louder.
Discipline is the ability to force yourself to do something even if you may not want to do it.
So force yourself to do something even though you may not want to do it. And that's true. We got done here yesterday. I'm training. This will be my last marathon. All of you are hearing this. After 30 years of marathoning, I'm done after this year. Okay? But I'm running in memory of one of my dear friends who would have been 100 on the same day as Marine Corps Marathon, and he was an Iwo Jima Marine. So that's my discipline and that's my motivation to do it. Yesterday when I got done here, I had to go for a run afterwards, late in the afternoon, and I did not want to do that workout. But you know what? Who would I be disappointing? First of all, I couldn't just say, I'll just do it some other time, right? But I had the discipline because I had the commitment to my friend who I want to run in memory of, that I got out there and did that run. So that's what discipline is. The other part is diligence. Diligence is not kind of an offshoot of discipline in the sense that diligence, that you want to do the best you can do, right? So you don't just want to go out there and I'm going to go shoot baskets. You're going to work on your free throws. You're going to work on, your outside the arc shot or your three-point shot. You're going to have some method to your madness to train. So that's going to be your diligence. And being consistent. We all start as a beginner and hopefully work our way to being a master. Okay, so we start off with basic skills, kind of the old you crawl before you walk, before you run. But you start off with basic skills like you're learning in camp today, whether it be reading, whether it be math, whether it be science. You're going to build planes here today. Hopefully you can come up with a better plane the future, right? So we build on everything from beginner to when we become a master of things. But we also need to stay open-minded. So we have to be open-minded. I can tell you, you may look at me as an older person. The older I get, the more I realize how little I know. So you may think as you get through high school or you come to college that you feel like you know everything. Trust me, as you get older, you realize you really don't know that much and you may have forgotten a fair amount too. So be open-minded to others, learn from others. People, remember last year I talked a little bit about teamwork. Different people may have different perspectives based on their religion, based on their race, based on where they live, their country. I mean, we all have different viewpoints. The best way to interact is to learn from other people and listen to their perspectives so you learn from them. We also need to be humble and apologize. Okay? Sometimes apologizing doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong. It just means that you value somebody else's friendship or their relationship more than you value your ego in being right. My wife all the time tells me I'm wrong. So it must be, right? But we heard it yesterday. Be kind to others, right? So it's important that we be kind to others because we never really know what their situation is. They may be struggling and you may be the person they need as a mentor, as a friend, just to listen to them. But be humble. So what's the secret to success and being happy in life? The secret is control the things you can control. There's a lot of things in our lives that you cannot or we cannot control, right? And you need to understand that. Don't get frustrated with it. I can't control the weather outside. And while I may want it to be, 55 degrees to go run this afternoon when I get done here, guess what? It's not going to be within my control. But what I can control is that I can either run inside, or I can run slower, or I can run fewer hills, but I got to get my run done, okay? So stay focused on the things you can control. So who here has heard of Winston Churchill? Anybody heard of Winston Churchill? Okay, not the old folks, meaning me. Tell me who Winston Churchill is. Anybody know? Tell me who he is.
He was a general of some sort. He led a battle onto a beach, which was his most famous battle. I don't know what it's called.
That's all right. So Winston Churchill was a British prime minister during World War II. And he had a saying that success is not final, okay? What does that mean? Don't live on your platitudes. Don't live on the fact that you had a success or that you won a game or whatever. Always try and improve. So success isn't final. Failure is not fatal. So that means if you fail at something, it's not the end. You got to keep trying. You got to move on. It's the courage to continue that counts. So I'm going to repeat that whole saying in one sentence. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. So remember, owning your dash means that you have control over your life, and you're going to have some peaks and valleys like we talked about yesterday, but you're in control how you respond to them. So thank you for your attention, and hopefully that may help you in the future.